Now, though, well, Boris Johnson is there in Ukraine. It's expected to be, of course, his last visit to the country before stepping down as our Prime Minister. He announced another £54 million in military aid to Ukraine, including sending around 200 drones. It coincides with Ukraine's Independence Day, marking 31 years since it became independent from the USSR. And in a pre recorded speech, President Volodymyr Zelensky vowed to fight against Russia's invasion until the end.
We finally became united, a new nation, born on February 24th at 4 a.m. Not born, but reborn. A nation that did not cry, scream, or take fright. One that did not flee, did not give up, and did not forget.
Now let's welcome Nataliya, Gumenyuk, Ukrainian journalist specializing in foreign affairs and conflicts and founder of the Public Interest Journalism Lab. Nataliya, hi.
Good to hear you.
And good to have you with us, Nataliya. So Boris Johnson there in Kyiv, I wonder how much impact will that have there on the ground in Ukraine?
Look, some would say, it's largely symbolic, but I would say it's more than that. Because just given the example that today, in Kiev, I think that there were constant air raid sirens, despite the, attacks which had taken place so far, there was no something major. And of course, because it's the Independence Day, there are still expectations that something horrible might happen, and the Russian strategy to send the rockets all over the country could be in place. So as I said, like today we have in Kiev, like it's constant. It's like every single hour there is air raid, not airstrike, sorry. So even the physical presence of somebody who is, a prime minister of the big important country might be also partially a shield, besides the symbolic gesture. So I won't undermine this visit. Of course, we were surprised with knowing that he's a departing prime minister. And also, it's interesting that in his speech, the President Zelensky also shortly mentioned Boris Johnson. The reference was the following. The Zelensky started to speak in Russian instead of Ukrainian, and telling that if you speak today in the language of the values, the English of Boris Johnson would be more, clear and comprehensible for the Ukrainians today at this moment. So it means something.
Okay, now, Natalia, you have written today, haven't you, about Ukrainian Independence Day and how it feels like a watershed moment. Just tell us your thoughts.
So shortly, it's as banal as it stated. It's the Independence Day, and Ukraine independence is under the attack. So it's really the matter of life and death. However, the Ukrainians are mainly, for them, it's a day of joy, despite all the troubles. Because the Ukraine survived half of the year of the horrible war, and we can see that it hadn't been defeated. And why I wrote that this is a watershed moment, we do understand that there are still 3 months before the winter, before the very harsh, season where the major battles might be impossible. And to be honestly, also something I wrote, that the war, it's not something theoretical, it's very practical. So, for instance, the availability of the weapon, of the very precise Western weapon, was the way to save the human lives. The destroy of the Russian military weapon in the warehouses by the precise strike was something which, given like a month of the breeze without such a major explosions like they were in June, for instance. So therefore, there are hopes for the counterattack. There is a hopes to get more this support and, use this strength and determination, despite all the exhaustion, to still, liberate as many villages or towns as possible.
Good to get your perspective, Nataliya. Thank you. Nataliya Gumenyuk there, a Ukrainian journalist. And I can say hi now to Inna Sovsun, a member of parliament, deputy leader of the Ukrainian Holos Party. Inna, hi.
Hi.
Can you tell us, in your view, then, what is the political importance of Boris Johnson's visit to Ukraine? Obviously, he will not be prime minister for very much longer. What is the value of the visit by way of sending a signal, a message?
Well, I do believe that it is still important to have him in Kyiv. I agree with what Nataliya just said about the very fact of him being there, probably works as a way to protect Ukrainians in a very direct manner.
Mm.
But we do hope that this also means that there will be a continuance of the policies of the UK after his departure.
Yes.
And we very much hope that by his visit here, he was telling this precisely, that yes, I am leaving, but I'm leaving you in good hands. We very much
Yeah.
hope for that, because trust me, we are seeing the United Kingdom, that of course the United States is driving the most of the direct support, most weapons and all of that, but the UK is actually the leader of the coalition in favor of the supporting Ukraine.
Yeah.
We very much hope that this work will continue, and we very much hope that those were the talks that Boris Johnson was having with President Zelensky.
Yeah. And what about the importance of sending a message to other members of the European and Western alliance? Now, listen publicly to what leaders are saying, and everyone will say we fully support Ukraine. But sometimes doubts are raised about the strength and depth of that support. And I guess anything that reinforces that mood of supporting Ukraine, I guess, will be of great value politically to you, Ina.
Yeah, indeed, because we do want Olaf Scholz to see what Boris Johnson is doing, even
The
when
German leader, yeah.
departing. And yeah, the German leader, the German chancellor. We want him to see that and to realize that Germany is actually dragging behind, and that Germany, as the leader in Europe, should not actually be dragging behind. It should actually show an example. So we really hope that this will be an incentive for leaders of other states to get more help to Ukraine.
Yeah.
Because what we are seeing now is, of course, lots of help is being delivered to Ukraine, but not everything that has been promised is being delivered. And then there are some major issues of for instance, tanks. Not a single Western country has provided us with tanks. And the question is, how are we supposed to go on counteroffensive without having any tanks at our disposal? So that is still the unanswered question that I know Ukrainian government is posing to our partners, and we very much hope that other leaders will get into this discussion and will actually realize that they need to provide Ukraine help that it needs, and it needs to be in specific types of weapons that is specifically required by the Ukrainian army at this point.
Okay. Ukrainian MP Ina Sovsun, deputy leader of the Holos Party in Ukraine. Thank you.